there, this is Claire from Claire Makery, and today I am going to be showing you how to make my Chevron beanie. This is a beginner-friendly tapestry crochet hat pattern that is really addicting once you learn how to make it, and it's so simple that even if you've never done tapestry crochet before, you can totally make this beanie design. So in order to make this hat, I'm going to set it aside. You will need 2 different colors of Lion Brand yarn, Hometown yarn. This is a super bulky or weight 6 yarn that is really soft, and it's 100% acrylic. So if you are allergic to wool, no worries, because you can wear this yarn. And if you don't like this yarn, or you have another weight 6 yarn that you prefer, you can totally substitute that yarn for the Hometown yarn. It's a really versatile pattern, so it's really easy to substitute the yarn choices. You'll also need a size M or 9mm crochet hook. I have a Clover Amour hook, which is one of my all-time favorite hooks. So this is just all the supplies you need. And then if you want to add a pom-pom onto your hat when you're all done, then you can add the pom-pom at the very end. So in order to start this beanie, we will go ahead and get our yarn, and then we are going to start this pattern by chaining 7. So at the very bottom of the hat there is crochet ribbing, which is pretty much my go-to start for a hat whenever I make them. So we've got 6 and 7, and then we are going to be doing different rows of double crochets in order to make this ribbing. So we are going to start in the 3rd chain from the hook, which is this one right here. So yarn over, and then we are going to go ahead and double crochet 5 across, and this is the foundational row of the ribbing. And how you do the ribbing is we are going to be making one long strand of rows of double crochets, and then we are going to join the first and last rows together in order to make the brim of the hat. So now that we've got 5 double crochets here, we're going to chain 2 just like this, and then we are going to turn it. And in order to create the effect of ribbing, you do alternating rows of working in the back loops and the front loops. So this first row is worked in the back loops. So you go with this loop right here. You don't go through both of them, just through the back one there. And I used to get it totally confused which ones were which, but you want to go, the back loops are always the loops that are farthest away from you, and the front loops are the ones that are closer to you. I used to think it was the other way around, but it's not. So then we've got our first row here with the back loops, then we'll chain 2, turn, let me get that, turn, and then work through the front loops doing 5 double crochets. So just like this. So it's really simple. This is just how you create ribbing, and it looks like a 2x2 ribbing that you make when you do knitting. So if you don't knit, you can totally make a ribbed beanie. So now we've got our row of front stitches, and then this is what it looks like on the front. So you'll see that the back loops ones go in, and so then the ones in the front loops, they're raised. So it gives that effect of ribbing, which looks super cool on a hat. And then what you're going to just be doing is you are going to be doing alternating rows of the back loops and front loops until you have done 21 rows of these double crochets to create the brim. So go ahead and do that, and then we will join it together. So once you have crocheted the nice long piece for the brim of your hat, it'll look just like this. So it'll have different parts where the stitches come forward and go backwards, just like I showed you. And then now it's time to join the 2 ends together. So you want to make sure that the piece is not twisted together, and then you will line up the edges of this brim together. So we're going to start in this corner. So I've slip stitched through both of the corners, and now we are going to slip stitch all the way down these edges right here in order to join them together so that we have one piece that is we can work in the round with. So you start out flat and then work your way in the round. So now that these are joined together, you'll have this ridge right here that marks where they began, but it pretty much just blends in with the rest of the hat, and once you have everything else crocheted, you hardly even notice that it's there. So once you have this done, then we're going to chain 2, and now it's time to start working in the round around the top of the brim of the hat. So what you're going to do is you are going to be working 42 double crochets all the way around this brim. And how you're going to do that is, so you're going to insert your hook on the edge. Well, first you're going to yarn over, then insert your hook in the edge, and then do a stitch. So you're going to keep doing these in all of the different rows and holes on here, and you'll space it out so that you can get 42 stitches evenly spaced across each one of these rows that are on the brim of the hat. And I like to just put them pretty much wherever I see a nice little opening on this hat, and I like to keep mine nice and tight. So like right here you'll see this hole, and so then I'll put a stitch in here, and then I put them along the edges of the rows, so about one or two per row, and then I just keep repeating this all the way till I get to the very end. So now that we have crocheted all the way around the brim of the hat, we've got all the right amount of stitches that we need for this row, and it's time to start on the chevron pattern. That's the main part of the beanie. So once you get to the end of the row, you're going to join to the second chain in the beginning of the round, and you're going to slip stitch through that to join the two ends of the row together. Then we're going to chain 2, and we are going to start with one double crochet in the burgundy color, and then when you are about to finish the stitch, instead of using the burgundy yarn to finish the stitch, we are going to switch to the gold. And so when you do color work, you want to always switch colors when you're finishing a stitch, just like this. So then you'll just slip stitch through there, and now you've got a completed stitch, and you have no weird color transitions when you're going to be starting the next stitches. So the next part, we are going to do 2 double crochets here. So 1, 2 in the gold, and then on the last stitch we are going to be switching back to the burgundy. So we're going to slip like this, and now we have officially switched. Then go like this. And then my trick that I like to use is when I'm just working with 2 tapestry colors, I like to place my yarn skeins on different parts of the table so that they don't get tangled. And then the trick that I just learned is, so you're going to always want to take one from the back and the front. When you're doing the one on your left side, you are going to yarn over in the front of this and then pull it through. And then we are going to do 2 stitches with this gold yarn, just like this. And you'll want to carry your red yarn as you're going, just like you do in so this is a tapestry crochet technique. And then once you've done that second stitch, you're going to go from the back and yarn under like that, and then pull it through. And so what this does is this prevents the yarn from tangling up, which helps you work a lot faster. So what you'll do is, this is just a super easy tapestry pattern. You're just doing a couple stitches and then switching colors. And the pattern on my blog and the free pattern has all of the written stuff, but the PDF pattern will have a chart that you can use a color graph for this pattern. And then this is what you just do. You just do all this color work just like these normal simple stitches till when joining the rounds at the very end with slip stitches until you've completely made your hat, and it's just as simple as that. And then once you have completed that, I'll show you how we are going to close it up, because in this pattern you don't use any decreases to make your hat small. So once I finished all of the color work on the beanie, I'm left with a big tube that is the hat. So how are we going to close this, you may ask? Well, we are going to use a basting stitch to cinch up the entire top of this hat. So if you've never done a basting stitch, you're going to need a tapestry needle. You can get them for super cheap at Walmart or any craft store if you don't own any already, and I recommend getting some because they are very handy in any type of sewing that you need to do with crocheting, any seaming you need to do. You're gonna use these a lot, and they also are really handy for weaving in ends. So I have my tapestry needle all threaded, and now what we're gonna do with the basting stitch is I'm gonna go back here, I'm gonna go up through one of these loops, pull my yarn all the way through, then I'm gonna skip a few stitches, and then I am gonna just weave my needle in and out and in and out just like this. And then what it'll do is, so it'll create these stitches that go across different parts of the top of the hat. And then as we keep doing this, we're going to just keep doing the weaving in and out. And then now that I've gotten almost halfway through, I am going to pull this, and look at what it does. It cinches it up so that it makes the hole smaller. Then you'll just keep doing this all the way around till you get to the very end. Almost there. Just a few more stitches. And so you can skip any amount of stitches that you want when you're doing this basting stitch. If you want to have it smaller, just go between every single stitch. If you don't really care, then you can skip a couple stitches at a time. And so I've completely cinched this so that now it's nice and tight. And you'll see, look, it's created a nice little hat, and it will fit perfectly on your head. So if you want to have this top of the beanie closed up, you can sew it together, but if you're going to put a pom-pom, then having this little hole at the top doesn't really matter. And then once you have it cinched to the tightness that you want it to be, then you are going to fasten off your yarn so that it stays and holds it. So we'll wrap it around your needle a few times and then pull your needle through. Sometimes it's a little tricky to get out, as you will see, especially when the yarn is this thick. But so now I have this all nice and tightened, so now I have a complete hat, and you can either leave it just like this and weave in these long ends, or you can go ahead and put a pom-pom on it and sew it on the top. But you can totally sew it up and cinch it up so that it's just a normal beanie without a pom-pom. And that, my friend, is how you make my chevron beanie pattern. I really hope that you liked this, and if you want a color graph in order to make this pattern, be sure to click on the link in my description where it has the premium PDF version of this pattern with a color chart. And as also, don't forget to click the subscribe button below and like this video so I can keep making more of these tutorials, because I love making them for you. And I will see you next time with another tutorial. Have a nice day. Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to like it below if you enjoyed watching it, and hit the subscribe button if you never want to miss out a video from me. And also check out my other videos and tutorials on my channel. See you next time.